All right, so in the 5-1 notes, we talked about sequences. And we mainly talked about arithmetic sequences and sequences that are added and subtracted, adding and subtracting numbers to get to the next term. But we can see here that if we have something that is not consistent, so like to go from 24 to 12, we would subtract 12. Or 12 to 6, we would subtract 6. 6 to 3, we would subtract 3. So it's not the same thing happening each time. But can we look at this and determine what is happening here to every term? To go from 24 to 12, 12 to 6, 6 to 3, what's happening? So if we're looking for something that's the same, we're multiplying by 1/2. Okay, multiplying by 1/2 and multiplying by 1/2. So this gives us the terms 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are looking for the 7th term. All right, so the 5th term, and then we'll get the 6th term, and then we'll get our answer of the 7th term. So take 3 and multiply by 1/2. What do you get? Well, you might say 1/2, but I'm going to write it as 3 over 2. Take 3 over 2 and multiply by 1/2. What do you get? 3 over 4. And then the final answer, 3 over 4 times 1/2 gives you 3 over 8. So that is our final answer there. Okay, so I just wanted to throw in a different type of one. And again, mainly what we're dealing with is arithmetic ones that are adding or subtracting the same number each time. But just wanted to throw this one in there just to mix it up a little bit. All right, so now we're going to be talking about relations and functions dealing with our mapping diagrams. So what you can see written here are mapping diagrams. And then also from points. If I give you a set of ordered pairs, a set of points, can we determine if those relations are functions? Now remember, everything is a relation. So this is a relation going from 2 to 6, 4 to 12. Those are relations. This is a relation also. 2 goes to 4, 6, and 8. 4 goes to 4 and 8. But what we want to know is, are they functions or not? Okay, so all we look at is the domain. If every number in the domain only has one line coming off of it, then it is a function. Okay, relation A is a function. But if even one of them, this has both of them, but if even one of our numbers in the domain has more than one arrow coming off of it, it is not a function. Okay, it doesn't have to happen to everything in there, just one of them has to have more than one arrow coming off of it. All right, so let's first of all make a mapping diagram. Now remember, our first bubble is our domain, and our second bubble is our range. Okay, so all of the numbers in the domain will be written down in order from least to greatest. So here's the numbers in my domain. Oops, I forgot to change my color back. We have a -5, -1, and then 3 in that order. Now look, there's 2 3s, but I'm not going to write both of them. I'm going to write -5, -1, and 3, just like that. Now our range, so I'll use red. So our range, we have -10, -2, 2, and 6. So in that order, -10, -2, 2, and 6. So that's how you start it off. And then what we do is we just use these points up here to determine where does the number, or where does the arrow go. Now, do not do your arrows like this, okay? Don't put the arrows just between the two bubbles. Make it go from number to number, not bubble to bubble. So -5 goes to 10. -1 went to -2. -3 went to 2 and 6. So, I'm sorry, +3. 3 goes to 2 and 6. So there's the mapping diagram. That's what it looks like. Okay, now we need to determine, it is a relation. We know it's a relation, but we need to determine, is this a function, yes or no? So what I do is I look at my numbers in the domain. If any one of these numbers has more than one arrow coming off of it, it is not a function. So do you see how 3 has 2 arrows coming off of it? That means this is not a function. Okay? And if we were to graph this, we would see that it does not pass the vertical line test. Now, basically what I like to do, and what I'm going to suggest you do, is just take your paper or something, and if we're determining whether it is a function, cover up the range, because the only thing that matters is the domain. So, since our domain, our number has more than one line coming off of it, that means that this is not a function. Okay, not a function. Next one, cover up the range. Do any of the numbers in the domain have more than one arrow coming off of it? No, they don't. So since they don't, that means this, or you could say yes, this is a function. Okay? Now, some people will look at the range and say, well, what about this 4? It has 2 arrows pointing at it. That doesn't matter, okay? So that doesn't matter for determining whether it's a function or not. All right, next, again, cover up the range. Is this a function, yes or no? Hopefully you realize that no, this is not a function. Okay, and why not? Well, because 5 has 2 arrows coming off of it, so it is not a function. All right, how about E? Now, if we're looking at this in terms of points, we want to know, is this relation a function? It is a relation. We know it's a relation. Is it a function? So look at your domain. The easy way to do this is look at the domain. Do any of the numbers in the domain repeat and go to different values in the range? And they don't. If none of your values in the domain repeat, then this is a function. Okay? Excuse me. So this one is a function because none of the values in the domain repeat. How about this one? Is this a function? Look at your values in the domain. Do any of these numbers repeat? I have a 2, a -1, a 0, a -1, and a -2. Do any of those values repeat? Yes, I have a -1 here and a -1 here. Now, if they repeat and they go to different y values, this goes to a 5 and this goes to a 3, then it is not a function. Okay? You could have them going to the same values and that's fine, but if they go to different values, remember it has to go to a unique y value. These are not unique. 3 and 5 are not unique. They're the same. So, they're not unique. They're different. So this is not a function. Okay? So again, not a whole lot of math happening here. We're just basically identifying and recognizing whether something is a function or not. So now you have all 3 methods: from a graph using the vertical line test, from a mapping diagram looking at the domain bubble and seeing if there is more than one arrow coming off of a number, and from a set of points looking for the repeated x values. Okay? So again, if you have any questions on this, send me an email or a private comment and let me know.